Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Coach O'Connell challenged you to kind of be a leader. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things maybe you've thought about doing or you are doing so far, like as that example?
I think for one, in terms of leadership, you got to know everyone. You got to know who you're working with, and you got to be respectful and courteous to everybody. So I'm starting to get to know everyone's name. From people serving me my food, people I just see walking in the hallways. I'm introducing myself and getting their names, because it might look small, but that goes a long way. So that's that small thing that makes a big impact.
Okay, so the biggest question here is Lewis seen after two weeks in a Vikings practice uniform already further along as a leader than Judd Zulgad, who's been with Hubbard for over a decade?
The important thing is people know his name. He doesn't need to know names.
He's getting to know the people that serve him lunch in the facility.
He seems like a genuinely good kid, by the way.
What are the names of the two guys that serve you lunch in the Hubbard facility every day for the past 5, 6, 7 years?
First of all, that's not true. I work from home quite a bit. I believe one of it. I believe one is Jim. Is that correct, X? No, it's Hey Guy 1 and Hey Guy 2. What's up, guy? What's up? I don't say guy. I say what's up. I actually expanded out to be what's up.
It's one of them, Jim.
Like the
Jim
commercial. What's up? I thought one of them was Jim.
You should just start calling both of them Jim and see what happens.
But there's a woman and two guys, and they're all very, very nice.
The woman's name is not Jim. I can assure you that.
I don't know her name either. Yes, Lewis Scene is ahead. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Now, post-pandemic, I probably know about 3 names.
In the building?
In the build.
So Declan, Ross, Dan. That's it, right?
Bernie. I know Bernie, Rob, Mike, and Chris, the sales guys. That's about it. I go upstairs. I literally know nobody's name.
I'll tell you this. Declan hung me out to dry a few weeks ago. I was back in town. There's been a couple new people in different areas, in the last few months. And I won't say names here, but I said, I was right outside the office of one of these women that I knew that I'd been on email threads, like daily email threads with some people, but I've never met them in person. So just to verify quickly, I said, Declan, is that so-and-so? And he goes, yeah. And so I open the door and I say, hey, so-and-so, nice to meet you for the first time. I know we've been emailing back and forth. And she goes, I'm not so-and-so.
Oh, Declan, why are you doing that to Phil?
Yeah.
Why are you doing Phil that way?
He walked, he was like, hey, you really screwed me over on that one. And I was like, yep, that was my bad, dude.
Oh, it was your bad. I thought you hung him out to dry on purpose because you thought it'd be funny.
I pulled a U. I messed up the name. I totally
See, this is where you just don't just say, I have no idea who that is.
Anywho, this is Purple Daily Vikings entertainment. And
what are the guys' names downstairs?
We just want the Viking. Well, Brian's been in a fantasy league with us for
that's why I thought it was
several years.
Jim, I thought he was Jim.
Purple Daily is presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company and TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. New lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. We reject 500 football. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, and the journey starts with off-season minicamp, rookie minicamp
and tryout.
Yep. So you had at one point, Brett Hundley was trying out, but let's give the floor to Judd here because he was there. We had press conferences with coaches and stuff. So you have rookie minicamp observations for us on this Monday Purple Daily. Let's do it.
Fire it up, Maestro.
Oh, sure.
It's observations. Let's hear the football music.
How many observations do we
have? 4. 4 for 4 quarters. 4 quarters of football. I got 4 observations. All right. One is you just brought this up, but yes, much to my surprise, when I showed up for Friday's one open session to the media, Brett Hundley was in a Vikings jersey, actually a red one. But the interesting thing there is, and Kevin O'Connell got into this in his post-practice press conference. Now, to be clear, Brett Hundley will not be signed, so he's not going to compete. He's not going to be, as far as we can tell, reportedly at training camp. He just tried out. Which you try and do to also get guys in as camp arms to throw passes. KOC at his post-practice press conference talked about the fact that this was also, one, he did not use all of the potential roster spots. So there really weren't that the group of tryout guys was low because he wanted to have a better opportunity to observe the guys who were there. Second of all, he referred to it, and here's the big change. Here's how the culture of the Vikings thought process has changed. As more of a passing camp, that he wanted this to be a passing camp. That this was not just your run-of-the-mill, let's look at a bunch of guys, and that there was actually, so we've gone from the defensive guy in Mike, right? Like, let's go, let's see how my defense looks, to a guy who, while he worked on both sides of the ball, I found it very intriguing, interesting, and obviously a big difference from the previous regime, that he referred to this as a passing camp. In other words, they were trying to see what they had, no question about it, offensively.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, look at the best teams in the NFL. Look at the teams that are going to the conference championship games. No one's saying that defense isn't important or that running the ball is irrelevant, but it's the most dynamic, aggressive passing attacks. It's the Buffalo Bills. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers, who've actually run the ball probably more now than maybe 3 years ago.
Yep.
And it's the Rams, right? It's teams that are looking to make a big play. So anything they can do, even in a rookie minicamp, anything they can do to emphasize we throw the football. We are looking to gash teams with big chunk plays down the field. I'm all for it, baby. Football. Let's get it.
And despite the fact that there were no or couldn't be veterans on the field, I do think the tone that's going to be set in the coming weeks and months is important. Like there's going to be, this is all going to change now. And so I think whatever you can do to send a message that the program is now yours and that it's not the same old program, I think that's important too. So it's just small stuff and we can laugh about it, a rookie camp. But the reality is this. Mike was there for a long time and Mike established a certain culture and tone around this team. Now that's going to change. All right. Observation number 2 actually comes off a question or a series of questions O'Connell answered after the practice on Friday as well. And that is that indeed the Vikings did ask for and were granted not having a week 5 bye. So the league was going to give them after week 4 against the Saints. The original plan was a bye in week 5. The Vikings said we would much prefer a home game, which they got against the Bears, in week 5, and you can, pick where our bye is, but we don't want it that quickly. And so they're going to play the Bears at home in week 5. Week 6, they're going to play at the Dolphins, and then the bye. I think it's smart. I think it's the right call, but the Vikings were indeed, as we speculated, proactive in asking that the bye not be immediately after the Saints game.
Yeah. I wonder how much did the league give them? Did the league look at the Bears and say, okay, who are the worst teams on the Vikings schedule? Let's give them a home game against one of them. The Giants, the Jets, the Bears.
Certainly looks like it.
Because they could have slid, a more competitive team into that home game slot. But the next best thing, I agree, by the way. I'd rather have the bye later in the season. I mean, I'd rather have the bye in like week 11 or something. But the next best thing is a home game against a bad team that's trying to rebuild and draft as high as possible. So, and I still stand by the fact too, I think the NFL is going to put a team in London at some point.
I think
the more that you can get teams used to playing in London and then not having a bye the next week.
Yep.
And just sort of normalize the travel, the easier it is to put a team in London. No?
I got a very nasty note from I take it a person that must watch us that said, F you, the Jaguars aren't moving. Dude, I was just kidding.
What?
Like, one, I wouldn't be surprised. This guy was very upset. It must be a Jaguars fan who watches our show. And he literally was like combative about it. The Jaguars aren't going anywhere.
Propaganda. No, they probably are.
First of all, they might be. Second of all, believe me, from the bottom of my heart, I don't care. I just pick them because they seem like the most. I mean, every year they go to London, right? Mm-hmm. So but yeah.
How did this person contact you? Did they email
It was like
you?
Through our, it was like
letter?
through our, no, it was
carrier pigeon.
It was through our company. We do get some
creepy handwritten letters
email.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't gotten one of those in a long time.
Maybe that person perished or something.
That's what I was just going to say. I think that person might not be with us anymore. But anyway, yes, a very upset Jaguars fan confronting yours truly. I'm sorry I offended you.
Amazing. All All right, next observation. Rookie minicamp is like the first sniff of, all right, we've made it to the
I was excited to get there.
Next season here, yeah.
It wasn't exciting, but it was intriguing to watch observation 3, which is Andrew Booth Jr., the drafted cornerback, who I think a lot of people are excited about, the Vikings picking, is not participating in drills and is going to be brought along slowly. And I only bring this up because the one thing is he has dealt with injuries throughout his college career. And I think the reason why he slid was exactly because of that. And so the intriguing thing about him, because if he's healthy, I think he's got a shot to compete for a starting job potentially. But the juxtaposition of that is healthy. And so he was doing nothing. O'Connell said that was going to be that way for a while at least. We don't know how long. But the upside is if Booth is healthy, he is a productive player. We've all seen this before, though. The question is, can guys who are injury prone and have dealt with problems actually stay or get and then stay on the field?
Yeah. So, okay, I think they have a pretty good problem here depth chart wise, but and they might play some dime. They might give you some 3 safety looks. So we don't really know what their third down defense is going to look like, but that's right. Dime, 3 safety looks.
I just love to hear this.
But is Booth, let's say he gets healthy and whatnot, is Booth a day one starter? Or are they going to roll out? I mean, Patrick Peterson for sure. I think,
yes.
Dude, I think Dantzler's a day one starter. Unless he's in the doghouse with another coaching staff or something.
Right. I think right now, you're opening day 3 cornerbacks are Peterson for sure, Dantzler and Sullivan as your nickel.
Slot specialist. So
yes, but I think Booth. I think that they like him a lot, and I want to say from what I read at least that he had end of the first round potential. I think the problem is his health. And so that's the whole thing about it. It feels like every year, guys, that there are a few players who are being, quote, brought along slowly. Yeah. And then the question becomes, does slowly mean this camp and he's back in OTAs at some point? Mini camp, training camp, the season? So I guess my one curiosity here is what's the concern about him actually starting to take part in full drills going to be?
It's kind of amazing how 1 year and 1 draft can just change the entire perception of a secondary. You got Patrick Peterson, probably his last year as a Viking, I would guess, but he's a good, solid, reliable starter. He's not what he was 5 years ago, but he's just a good, rock solid, average, maybe even better than average starting cornerback. And then I feel pretty good. Listen, Chandon Sullivan's he's not a Pro Bowler, but he's better than Mackenzie. Mackenzie Alexander was one of the worst cornerbacks in the entire league last year.
God, he was awful.
And so just getting someone in there that's a little more competent. Chandon Sullivan grades out well in some of the slot metrics. That's good. And then you got these 2 young guys, Dantzler and Booth, competing for some sort of spot in there. And then safety, Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, Lewis Seen. It's 7 guys that, well, one of them's a veteran, will be gone. Chandon Sullivan might just be a 1-year guy. And who knows about Harrison Smith. But you got 4 young guys in that mix across those 2 positions that you feel really good about. And then the other stuff sprinkled in. So, yeah, this was a crisis position group recently. And now I feel pretty damn good about it. Assuming that Booth doesn't have lingering injuries.
And is Dantzler good? Because he might be.
Yes, he is.
Like, that's the one thing.
He is good.
I understand he did things, especially in training camp, that ticked off the coaching staff. But that coaching staff had become so touchy about things. I guess my question is, did he really do things really wrong? Or was Mike just... Because the more people that you talk to about 2021, and this is not a surprise, the more that you are basically told Mike was at the end of his rope as far as like patience goes. Mm-hmm. And at some point in time, that starts to permeate everything, right?
Yeah.
Like that permeates the locker room, the building itself, the fan base. So I'm curious just how much a reset will help guys like Dantzler, who I don't think might have been nearly as out of line as it appeared at one point.
Yeah. By the way, before we get to your final observation and a little bit of developing breaking Vikings front office news here, let's tell the fine folks, the fine listeners of Purple Daily, about a new partner we have, Folly Coffee, Judd. Are you prepared to speak about Folly Coffee here?
Am I prepared to speak about this?
Have you done your research and development?
Do you know how long that I have wanted to bring on a coffee partner here? A partner who is local, who is all about great coffee? We got it. Right here.
That's a sweet logo.
Folly Coffee. And let me show you this.
It's actually made after Judd.
Quickly. Let me show you.
It's a self-portrait.
Yeah.
This, I wish it was. This says Winer. And what it is this has the flavor of like a wine. Folly Coffee is not just it's just another coffee. Rob and Jeff run this place, okay? Jeff is
their
the
names.
head.
Funny.
Jeff is, why? Because I love coffee. I wanted good coffee. I got it. Jeff is a top 15 coffee taster in the state, okay? Named the best Minnesota online coffee retailer by corporate magazine. Fully customized coffee subscriptions to match how much coffee you drink and your favorite varieties as well. Go to follycoffee.com. Use the code word SCORE at checkout for 10% off your first order. That's exactly right. Follycoffee.com. That's FOLLY coffee.com. I am just so excited. I am so excited to be talking about a local coffee that I know UPD fans, much like Judd's beer, are going to absolutely love.
Love it. Also, a shout out to our friends at Chill Boys. And thank you guys. People ask, how can we support you as you're growing Purple Daily and Score North? And we appreciate that question. The best thing you can do is listen or watch on a regular basis and support our partners here, whether it's Folly Coffee or Chill Boys. I got the Chill Boys long underwear on here, keeping me comfortable, cool, calm, collected. Chill Boys are the most comfortable underwear that we have collectively ever discovered. They're a Minnesota-based company. They care about one thing, your comfort. You can find them online at chillboys.com, chillboys.com. All right, your final rookie minicamp observation. Then I actually have two. I've got some observations on a draft war room video the Vikings put out, so you're going to get some bonus observations from Mackey.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. Okay, observation 4, final one. And it goes back to a little bit what I talked about in observation 3, which is the change in feeling around TCO and the fact that Kevin O'Connell, and I am not making any promises. I have no idea. He might be great. He might not be. But Kevin O'Connell brings such a breath of fresh air to a place that was so stale. And look, you know what? Again, Mike was really good for a long time. So this is not an anti-Mike tirade. But by last year, it was time. It was time for a change. It felt stale. He was upset. Things didn't work. He obviously did not like his quarterback. That's a problem. And O'Connell just talking about the fact that what he can do now, work both sides of the ball, go watch the defense, but have inherent knowledge that goes way beyond what Mike did offensively and with quarterback play. It feels like a different place. And for us, I mean, that's great. But for the players, it's massive. For the players, it's absolutely massive. And Kwesi and O'Connell in particular are going to bring a breath of fresh air to a place that part of the problem was it had become stale. And that, to me, is incredibly important. And we at least got a taste of that, started to see that at that open camp on Friday.
Yeah. And this is kind of dovetailing into my observations because the Vikings posted a 20-minute inside the draft war room video on their social channels and their YouTube channel and stuff. And there's a lot of Kevin O'Connell, and obviously Kwesi's sort of the centerpiece of this video, but the one thing that really stood out about Kevin O'Connell, and I picked this up in the press conferences too, is he's just a really kind, likable guy, but also doesn't seem like a pushover. And again, this might be a laughable take 3 years from now when he gets fired unceremoniously. I once went on 1500 ESPN radio in 2011 and raved about how Christian Ponder is a get-it guy. So I want to reserve a little bit of judgment here, but just initial observations about Kevin O'Connell's personality. You tend to lean the opposite of what you are moving away from when you hire in football and all sports, all right? We had Tim Brewster, used car salesman, snake oil salesman guy. Fire him from the Gopher football team. Bring in grizzled professional coach Jerry Kill, right? In an established system. In the NFL, all right, Mike Zimmer is a cantankerous, unlikable, hard to get along with guy.
Right.
Let's go find someone that is a connector of people, a guy with a softer personality, and someone who's likable, and a guy that you could sit down and get a beer with and, shoot the breeze without him just bitching about things for an hour, right? Like Mike Zimmer seems like the type of guy that if you sat down with him for an hour and got a beer, he would just bitch for an hour. That worked. It worked for 6 years or whatever it was. So I'm with you. It does feel like a breath of fresh air. Now, this is the biggest bite that he has ever taken in his career in terms of responsibility, and you have to now oversee the structure of this entire franchise, and you have to be able to potentially weather some turbulence, right? What
and
if
there will be some. It's the Vikings, no question.
Yep, absolutely. So I like that. I like the breath of fresh air. So, all right, so speed through your observations real quick for people taking notes at home.
Okay, 1, passing camp. It was a passing camp. We referred to it as such. It's small,
Focus
but when's
on
the
the
last
passing
time
game.
you heard anybody say passing camp?
It's great.
The second, the Vikings did indeed ask for and were granted not having their bye in week 5. Instead, it's going to be 2 weeks after they get back from the Saints game in week 4. That, to me, is a very smart move. Andrew Booth Jr., the cornerback, who was a draft pick by the Vikings, who a lot of people think they got as a steal, is not taking part yet in camp things. And the question about him is injuries. So I guess my question is, when is he going to get a chance to get on the field? That is TBD. And last but not least, Kevin O'Connell, a definite breath of fresh air. What Phil said, I think, applies completely.
Boom.
But that being said, you did have to have a different personality.
Yeah. So there it is. Those are, and we got regular mini camps coming up, OTAs. We got a mandatory mini camp in like a month from now.
We got an OTA open practice tomorrow at which I am going to hightail it out there.
Love it. Old Kirky boy. He's not skipping any of these optional workouts, right? I'm assuming.
No,
Kirk's
I think
skipping
he's there. I think he's there right now.
Unlike Rodgers, I don't think Rodgers goes to any of these.
He don't need that stuff. He's the coach of the
He
team.
might now that he.
And he basically owns the team. Runs the team.
Good luck with that.
All right.
Got some breaking Vikings front office news here as the show has commenced. I'm getting this from, we got a press release here, but instead of reading the Vikings press release, I like the spin that Kevin Seifert has put on this, friend of the show, former coworker of Judd's. So the Vikings have added Demetrius Washington as vice president of football operations. And as Kevin characterizes it, the Vikings continued their shift toward an analytics-driven front office with this hire. So Demetrius Washington worked for 7 seasons in the San Francisco 49ers research and development department. He's basically on the same path as Kwesi here.
Yes.
San Francisco research development, 5 of which he spent alongside Kwesi Adofo-Mesnah. He has a master's degree in business administration with an emphasis in finance and analytics from the University of Missouri. And during the 2020-21 season, he was assigned to improve the Niners' optimization and process and develop statistical analysis for every player evaluation, acquisition, and strategy.
Get those nerds! Nerd!
Quote from Kwesi: Washington is one of the most uniquely gifted people I have met in my time in the NFL. He's able to learn complex ideas, make them simple, and apply them in all facets of the organization. He has learned from some of the best minds in the game today and will continue to flourish in his role with the Vikings. What do you guys think of the Vikings front office with the general manager and now with the vice president of football operations migrating away from the meat and potatoes, long time sort of we look at players the traditional way, and now they're more into just the structure of decision making and probabilities, right? They're treating this more like economics and investing in finance than let's put our eyes on this football player, you know? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, what's intriguing about this is, and just from being out there on Friday as well, here's an observation about the structure. It feels to me like Ryan Grigson is their football guy. So like he's sort of their old school not like stuck in his ways, but he feels like the guy that Kwesi probably trusts the most to be his football guy.
But he's he's technically just an advisor, but he was also very prominently featured in the war room.
All over the place. Yeah, I think he is there. So I think he is their guy that they basically are going to for, okay, football man, help us out here. Which is interesting.
Grigson.
Ryan Grigson.
Sounds like a football name.
And he looks like a football guy. His picture looks like a football. So like he looks like a football guy, and I think he's their guy. But beyond that, I think this is interesting. And you know what? I'm going to wait and see. Like as far as how it's shaking out from the Kwesi end, with Kevin O'Connell, I can tell you flat out, there's things I like, and there's things I just don't know about him. But like I like how he's different from Mike. I like the fact that he's going to bring a breath of fresh air. I like the fact that I think at least he's very probably smart and astute offensively. But when we're talking about where we're going right now with the football department itself, it's a wait and see for me, dog. It's just a wait and see. I don't know. I just don't know. And I'm not going to
know for you, dog. It's a maybe for you.
And I'm not going to pound the table and be like, they're making a mistake. I think it's a very interesting philosophy and direction. And I'm curious to see how that part of things goes.
You know what? I mean, the most interesting player all the time, period. But like when you're talking about the analytical evaluation versus the football evaluation is Kirk Cousins. Because I could sit here and make plenty of analytical cases for Kirk Cousins. I could sit here and cite his PFF grades. I could show you that he's top 10 in certain, Football Outsiders analytics, clean pocket. He's one of the 2-3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. I could also show you some analytics, and we have done this on the show, that show you how bad he is in some of the more high leverage and pressure situations. So what traits are they looking at analytically? How much do they weigh some of them versus the others? And then if you're getting away from the analytics and you're looking from a more of an intangibles, leadership, football, chemistry perspective, how do they view him? Now, they view him good enough to give him a 2-year, $70 million ironclad extension with a no-trade clause and to hitch their wagon to him. But I would be so curious to know, and maybe they'll divulge some of this, but I think they want to keep a lot of this stuff close to the vest. What do they really think of their starting quarterback? Is it more, listen, let's not whiff right out of the gate with a rookie quarterback in a weak draft. Let's lock ourselves into 2 years of steady, and then we can go from there in 2023-24. They have to know some of the flaws, and I would just be really curious to know what the analytical summation of Kirk Cousins is in that Vikings front office.
I would guess it's very kind, wouldn't you? Like, I think the numbers would lean towards the fact that there's a lot of good there.
And the bad numbers you could improve by just having a more attentive and savvy head coach that knows what he's looking at, right?
Bingo. My guess is that they feel that there is an unexplored, uncharted part of Cousins' career to come. Do I agree? Probably not. I probably don't. But I think that because I mean, you're talking about people that are, so if these guys are going to crunch the advanced metrics, Grigson's their football guy, and O'Connell is saying, hold on a second here. Like, I've worked with Kirk. I can get more from Kirk. Mm-hmm. I'll go back to it. I think it's a Frankenstein quarterback. I think they think that they can build the monster. I really do. I don't know if they're right. My gut is they're not right, but I think that's the chance. And Phil, back to your point, it's 2 years in their mind, because they ain't gonna. It's not like it's going to be 2 disappointing years and you're fired. So
we did. I'm just trying to find we did an episode a few weeks ago here, and I just found the notes. Mm-hmm. What are the things that Kirk struggles with the most? So forget about the back of the football card stats. Okay, that doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
What are the things that he needs to be better at? And then are those things that are uniquely on him? Is it, hey, this part of the team, offensive line, is holding you back from being good at this thing? And the 3 categories we talked about were under pressure, Like legitimately, not like Monday Night Football pressure, which is another conversation. But when teams are getting pressure on you, his performance suffers more than almost any quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Crunch time effectiveness, and then the other one was more just like his general overall presence as a winner or not on a team. That he's the only quarterback that puts up those kind of numbers that isn't way above 500 in his career. And so if you're the Vikings front office and you're Kevin O'Connell, you have to drill into, okay, what are these areas of weakness? And then through coaching and hands-on communication and scheme, and maybe some personnel additions to bring in an actual right guard, et cetera, how much room for improvement is there? And they decided quite a bit, they think. Like, at least the signs point that way by them locking into 2 more years of him. And that process begins this summer. That process really begins at these camps, right? It's,
Absolutely.
Okay, installing a new system, building a new relationship. You got some new players in the mix here.
It started, yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they've been communicating for 3 months at this point with each other, too, just behind the scenes.
And they're convinced by, just as a small point, they think that by moving Jefferson into the Cooper Kupp role and trying to expose what the defense is going to do pre-snap, that's going to give Kirk an advantage that clearly he didn't have. Now, is that going to solve problems? I have no clue. It should, but again, this gets back to effectiveness and when you're effective, and are you effective from the first drive through the last drive, the opening 15 scripted plays. But, I think that they are going to be the latest collection to say that we could take Kirk Cousins and improve him enough to be really good. The thing that they've got going for them is they in no way, shape, or form are going to pay with their jobs if they're wrong. Mm-hmm. They'll just, Kirk will be gone.
Yep.
And they'll still be here.
It's a very interesting strategy ahead. Lucky for you guys, bonus observations here coming your way from this guy right here, old Macadac, who sat down and watched. And if you guys haven't watched it, just for the audience, go to the Vikings YouTube page. I can't remember what it's exactly called, but it's like an Inside the Vikings Draft War Room video.
20
minutes.
Yep.
It's great. And it's just a really interesting behind-the-scenes inside look. And so I've got 3 observations off that, presented in part by our friends at Livia, helping Judd stay skinny for the last 6+ months.
That is exactly right. Down 40+ pounds thanks to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And I want you now to start the same plan. And again, to go back to the weight loss was so simple. Their program, it's effective, it's great. There's no shaming you. Oh, you gained a pound back. But it is a simple plan. And you start now, just $59. That's exactly right. Their new Simple Start plan for only $59. You get one-on-one personalized and guided support online or in person from their dietitians and team of experts who are fantastic. Go to LIVEA. Livia.com or call 855-GO-LIVEA. Again, that's Livia, LIVEA.com. Inside or outside the state, it doesn't matter. They can help you not only shed the weight, but keep it off.
Also, hello to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, helping protect business owners for over 100 years. They're based in Owatonna, and they're all about risk management. They're all about maximizing the success of your business through risk management tools and resources. You can find your personal Federated marketing representative to work one-on-one with at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, real quick, 3 observations from this behind-the-scenes draft war room video. Observation number 1, the Vikings did exactly what they wanted to do with these trades. At one point, Kevin O'Connell turned to the Wilfs after one of the trades, basically. So the Wilfs on day 1 were sitting, and maybe even on night 2 as well. It was like Mark, Ziggy, Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi, and Rob Brzezinski sitting in a row in the front row of the war room. And the Wilfs were just, they were just like fans with big smiles on their faces and wanting to know what's happening. And Kwesi's kind of walking back and forth. And at one point, Kevin turned to the Wilfs and said, "We feel like picks 34 through 77 are the best value or are great value in this draft." They wanted to stockpile picks in that range, and they wind up with pick 32, pick 42, pick 59, and pick 66, and we'll see how those players pan out. But it was very obvious that they really wanted picks in that range, and that they really, really liked, and where they were hoping and praying that Scene would still be there, that Booth would still be there, that Ed Ingram was like, boy, there's a huge gap. If we can hold on a couple more picks, Ed Ingram is a huge, huge difference between the next guy on that list of guards. And so, I'm sure they had to deviate from some of their plans, but the way that they showed it behind the scenes, they basically did what they wanted to by getting more picks in that range in the draft.
They did. I was curious about, so I would have liked to have seen more about behind the scenes of the Lions trade, just to get a better feel for it. Like, I didn't feel like I walked away with still a good idea to sway me back towards that trade. But they definitely, from what O'Connell told the Wilfs, they definitely were trying to get down some, and they did that.
Yep, they thought it was very flat, that there wasn't a huge difference between 12 and 32, and that it kind of flattened out, and they just wanted more depth of picks. All right, observation number 2. Based on what they were saying in this video, Andrew Booth was by far the best player on their board early in the second round, and they wind up getting him with the 42nd pick. I think he was 24th on PFF's big board, too. So they really liked Booth, and the fact that they got him at 42 is great value according to their draft rankings.
And that comes back to health. Like, he fell because of health. And if they can get him on the field and playing, I'm curious, because my guess is, if that's the case, my guess is he'll get a chance to at least challenge Dantzler, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then my third observation is, we've kind of talked about it with KOC, but the likability factor of KOC and Kwesi in the room together, they just both have very infectiously positive, likable personalities, and the Wilfs are in there smiling. I was trying to envision, what would that room have looked and felt like? And maybe maybe they showed a video last year, and I just haven't seen it, but what would that video have looked and felt like with the Wilfs and Zimmer and Spielman all sitting together arm in arm in the front row, and Brzezinski? I just feel like it wouldn't have been all kumbaya and honeymoon like this video.
Well, Spielman tried, but Mike was probably like, screw this.
Yeah.
I need more defense, Rick.
More red wine or defense or both. So, go check it out if you guys have a chance.
It's interesting.
And let us know what you think about the new Vikings leadership and brass. Also, before we go here, Surly has been just on fire helping us through these difficult times with Wild and Timberwolves losses. Great.
They were a sponsor on JHS, Judd's Hockey Show, for a nice long playoff run, right?
Yep.
Well, the Wild let us down, but you know what, Declan? It never lets us down, Surly. In fact, with 3 game 3s on Saturday, I declared it a Surly Saturday. And that's right. I sat there with my Furiouses, enjoyed each and every one as I watched hour upon hour of teams that cared playing hockey. That was great. And so was my Surly. And as we always like to say, guys, you know what? If you go out and pick up your favorite 6-pack, what should people do with their Surly?
Show us your cans.
There you go.
How about show us your tabs, too, if you go to the bar?
Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
Surly, thank you.
That's a wrap. Purple Daily here. Daily Vikings entertainment, even during the off-season doldrums, which aren't doldrums when you're installing a new system. Plenty more camp observations as we go along here throughout the rest of the week and the rest of the month. See you guys.